now you're getting into like, you're all getting into kind of the like, okay, I have a defense, I get it, now what do I do, right? And part of the process, as we've talked about at every lecture, is to meet the task. And the task is, I have a defense, this is what I think it's defending against, this is what I would have to feel if I let the defense go, and now we meet the part of us that says, am I willing to feel that? And if the answer is yes, then we keep going. If the answer is no, then we generally just go back into the defense. And it's like the example with my father. Okay, I wasn't willing, right? So we do meet the lower self that says like, no, I get what I have to do. I hear you. I'm smart enough to know that this is what I have to do to kind of work through the defense and take the risk to be fully alive, to be fully myself, to be in love. I get it, but I'm not doing it. Why? Because I'm lazy, maybe. I mean, you know, it's too hard, it feels too hard. Or like, I still don't believe I can survive it. Or like, I'm not willing to be that uncomfortable. I'm just not willing. And we got to keep meeting the lower self that says no, 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 until we're like, I can't do this anymore. Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yes. Yes, because think about it. When we're wounded and in our defense, we feel powerless. So any taste of power we can get, even if it's negative, I'll take it. At least I'm the one saying no now. You know? Like, you're the ones who left me. Well, watch this. I'm going to leave you. Like, at least I got some sense of power. So to give that up, to feel bad, what? I'm not doing that. Why would I give my power up? But in the learning, you have to learn that it's not real power. You're not actually empowered by withholding love, whether that love is towards yourself or to other people. And I just, you know, that's why you read and reread the lectures, because it's not until that really, really, really makes sense to you and you've had enough that you start to say, I've got to meet this part of me that's saying, no. No to love, no to life. Now again, if there is a real threat, you've got to stay defended, right? But when the threats are survivable, it's like there's the invitation, right? So the other thing that the lecture talks about is that part of why we don't want to be, you ever get, I'm imagining, have you ever been criticized for something? Yesterday, right, okay. Raise your hand if you know 1,000% that anything you've been criticized, you had nothing to do with it. That you're so sure, like, I played no part in that. Of course, right. But our defense says, I cannot even tolerate that kind of criticism, right? So what the guide says is part of the maturing process is to be willing to look at what is the truth in this criticism. Maybe what you're being accused of or criticized of really isn't true, but there's a grain of truth in it. And rather than defend against it and say, I didn't do that, and I'm not talking to you, like I'm perfect, I'm such a good girl, how could you? The opportunity is to say, you know what? I don't feel like I did that, but I'm going to check in with myself and see where I may have had a hand in that. And to tolerate the shame or the guilt or the remorse of doing something out of alignment with who you really are, like out of your integrity. Like, can you tolerate someone being mad at you? Can you tolerate someone criticizing you by saying, I have to own that? And in our defense, it's hard for us sometimes to own our part. But there's nothing more powerful, talking about powerful, than to take responsibility for your part. The part that's like, I didn't do it, you make yourself a victim. Powerful in that place. But to say like, I didn't do all of that, but I did a piece of it and I'm going to take ownership of that, that's power. That's how you move out of the defense and into like, oh, like I'm okay, I'm still standing. I didn't like it. It felt really bad to be criticized I felt fear that I was going to be left. I don't like when people are mad at me, but I'm still standing. There's no bear here. And pride is one of the biggest defenders of all. Pride says, I'm not letting you see my vulnerability. I'm not letting you see my heart. I'm not letting you see that maybe I don't know things. I'm not, pride says, right? So we have to be willing to surrender our pride in order to surrender, but reveal more. The antidote to pride is vulnerability. So the way we challenge a defense is to do the opposite of what the defense wants. So if pride is there, we meet it with vulnerability. And the lecture talks about frustration of will is a threat. Not getting my way is a threat, right? It's the frustration that, and you can take it as far as like, I don't want to accept that like I'm going to get old and die. That goes against what I want. And I'm going to fight against it and put cream on my face forever so I never get a wrinkle because I don't want to age. That doesn't work with what I want. So all my energy is going towards staving off something that's going to happen because I don't want it to happen, because I don't want to feel the sadness or disappointment or grief of aging or whatever the feeling is, or death. So it's not just kind of the psychological stuff that happens to us. It's the existential stuff we may not even like. I mean, think of our environment now where so much of our energy goes towards optimizing ourselves, perfecting ourselves, like de-aging ourselves. Like, what are we doing? What are we defending against in that place? And as someone pointed out to me today, there's a higher self quality to optimizing. There's a higher self quality to being better at something and improving who we are and feeling better and having good skin. I mean, it's good. There's a higher self desire to feel good, and that's beautiful. But when we're using it to defend against something that we don't want to feel, then it's trouble. I say this to clients, like in everything that is happening, or that you're doing, there's always a higher self-truth to it. But there's also a way where you're using it as a defense against something. And the key is to discern what's what, So yes, do I want good skin because it makes me feel good to have, good skin and I feel fresh and clean and I just like it? And because I just do, that's the higher self. Do I do it because if I do, you'll like me? Then it's a defense. And I'm putting on a face, literally, to get you to like me because apparently that's very important to me. Because the idealized image is another form, it's another defense. I am this. I am all-knowing. I am a good person. I never get angry. I'm all-loving. I'm with God. I'm like, that's the idealized self. And it's a way to defend against something. And sometimes that something is not outside of us. Sometimes the something is in us. I'm defending against my own anger. I'm defending against my own rage. I'm defending against my own hatred. Defending against my own messiness. Like, so the idealized image can protect us from the outside, but it can also protect us from what we deem to be bad and threatening on the inside. Because if that gets out, if my rage gets out, if my terror gets out, if my anger and hatred and messiness gets out, then you're all going to leave. And then I'll die. And then we're back in the threat response.